All right. All right, Treasure Charger, Daniel D'Ambrosio, Daniel Lauren, Emil, who's from Connecticut, rumored to like silver. Well, I can't blame you. Who doesn't like silver? And of course, Southern Metal, who is recoiling at the thought of your humble servant taking over Thursday nights. Nope. Not to be. This is a one-time, very special opportunity, as it were. First of all, let's confirm that the mic is on. I mean, me thumping on it should really help the viewership go way up. Michael Erickson, howdy. It's on, says Daniel Lauren, and well, that's good enough for me. Sam Wilson, well, I thank you. Treasure Charger, thanks for that. We're going to have a little bit of fun tonight, some experimental fun, if you will. Going to talk about something I've never discussed before. And we'll go from there. As you see, I have a hastily assembled page. Daniel D'Ambrosio, no, not so much. Shell Bell, howdy. Treasure Charger, no. If he sees it on his own, then that's fine, but, you know. I don't know if he would have much to contribute regarding the subject matter of the evening. This is going to be a little bit different than your typical Ask the Bassman, because in a typical Ask the Bassman, the subject is wide open. And I will do my best to answer all questions. This is going to be topic driven. Topic being chosen by your humble servant, his own self. Now, questions related to the topic I will be looking for and answering. Questions not related to the topic will be shunned, ignored, you name it. I know, Emil, I did forget my glasses again. I have some, like, work glasses over there on the windowsill, but I don't think those will help. I think I can read the screen just fine. So I think Mrs. Coin Crew, greetings. This is this will be a totally non-coin related discussion. Yes. I think it will be relatable to pretty much everybody. So, Daniel, since I haven't brought up the topic of discussion for this evening, and I'm waiting for people to roll in, I do use 2-in-1. I do. It is my preference. So, 2-in-1 leaves your hair squeaky. Yeah, it's what I need to. I especially need the conditioner part. So, and I tend to be lazy. So if I can do both steps in one, then I consider it a win. And I just brush it straight back. And Treasure Charger, what shampoo? Oh, sorry, little buddy. Treasure Charger shampoo is what you put in your armpits. So, the topic of conversation is going to be human behavior. Specifically, the male-female dynamic and what recent trends are showing. I know this is a radical departure from the coinages or the fun and frivolity that the greatness of Southern Metal and I throw out on a twice-weekly basis. But there is something here. So Mrs. Coin Crew identifies as a squirrel. Oh dear. Come on now. So my initial thought on this was stems from an incident in my life. I'm gonna say more than 30 years ago. And I've been trying to figure it out ever since. So what happened was, my then wife decided that she wanted a divorce. Okay. I, of course, was torn up about it. Didn't see it coming. Jimmy Licari, howdy. So, Mrs. Coin Crew got kicked out. Well, it's tough for squirrels to use a keyboard. So, it kind of bothered me, but I just, I compartmentalized it, put it in the back of my mind. And then I got to be really curious about why people do the things they do. So it turned out that she had taken the kids and went to Minnesota, and she had, let's just say, a different dude up there. We were in Texas at the time. So I thought, why is this happening? Well, it turns out that what happened to me is not at all uncommon in marriages. Especially women today, younger women in their 20s, will be in a relationship with a guy and immediately think they can do better. Okay? And this topic, or this phenomenon, is known as monkey branching, right? They're on a fairly stable branch of the tree, but they start pulling on a different one to see if, hey, maybe I can climb up a little bit higher here. So they'll have one dude, but then they'll start looking around and, hey, I think that's a better dude over there. So, they'll let go of one branch after they've tested the other one out, and they'll hook onto that one for a while. And they'll be happy with that branch for a while, and then there's another branch. They can even climb higher up on the tree. Because the idea is to, be on the top of the tree and see everything. But eventually what happens with time and age is they reach for that next branch and there's no support. And they come tumbling down. So the problem is with both people in the relationship. What's happening today is that women are roughly accountable for 70 to 80% of all divorce filings because they're not happy. Well, why aren't they happy? Didn't they choose the partner that they married? Yeah. Did they want the wedding but not the marriage? Possibly. Right? Because if you think of a wedding, how many of you say that, well, that's clearly the groom's day? Nobody thinks of it as the groom's day. It's all about the bride. And possibly the bride's mom. Right? And there's not necessarily anything wrong with that. I know that getting married is a big deal, right? The lost art is keeping the marriage together. There's really no incentive to these days. The way that the family courts are set up these days is that there's almost an incentive for marriages to be broken up. You know, financial soft landings, that kind of stuff. Freaking awesome greetings. Mrs. Coin Crew, see, now she's got the right idea, right? She waited. Okay. However, you can also wait too long. I will give you a case in point from my family. Well, Sam, there is no rush for you to get into one. And see, that's the thing. What I'm thinking, you're in your late 20s. Exactly, 28. No, Sam. No. You don't need to be married until you're in your 30s. You're still becoming. You're still in the process. Oh, Brad, that's tough, right? But you chose well. 35 years. You chose well. And see, I think that, back to Sam, you've not waited too long. No. You could wait 10 more years and be fine. Okay? Because you're still figuring yourself out. Right? But yeah, Brad, see, that is... Brad, you did it the way you should have. And, I'm sure it's tough. But you did it right. And you probably had a lot of good years, and those are what you should remember, right? You probably had to work at it, which is what you do in a marriage, and which is what a lot of people don't want to do in a marriage anymore. So, yeah, Mrs. Coin Crew, yeah, exactly right. You knew each other for a long time. That's a good way to do it too. Well, and Brad, you did. See, that is the way it should be done. You did it exactly right. And yeah. There you go, Shell Bell. There you go. Mikey P, it's not a sad stream. It's more of what's happening today in the male-female relationship dynamic and why it is failing so miserably today as opposed to maybe 20 or 30 years ago. Well, yeah, Sam's parents are doing it right. And Sam, your dad married when he was 31 and you're only 28. So why are you panicking? You know? Yep, Mikey P, that is very much my story. Oh, Brad, that's awesome. And I'm going to go into why I think a lot of these older relationships lasted as long, and why today's relationships don't. And you know, barring death, like, you know, you can't be avoided. I think there was a lot more modesty back in the day. Just to put it bluntly, the body counts that women had were much lower back then. And there is actually a biological phenomenon known as pair bonding, where a woman feels closer to a man, right, that is maybe her first experience or her first few experiences. But with the body counts that younger women have today, upwards of, say, 200 or 300, there's no bonding. There's no... And what there is instead... Sam, I don't think so. Mrs. Coin Crew, that's awesome. Yeah, if you can live with your spouse during the lockdown, you're solid. I don't think so, Sam. I think it has to do with our impatience. I mean, we have developed into a we want things now society. If you want to know something, what do? You get out your phone. You Google it, you find out immediately. You used to have to go to a library and look stuff up, research it, work at it, right? Everything's fast. So we have no patience for anything. We don't have patience for somebody who disagrees with us, right? Which could be a spouse. So the first time that spouse disagrees with us, you have a fight, I'm done with it. I'm out. Right? Stephen Biz, howdy. Shelbo, my father-in-law here, so I do have to go, but he and mother-in-law is 55. See, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's exactly what I'm saying. Yep. Metal Dragon Braveheart, greetings. Brad's rolling rotary phones. What the heck is that? Yep. So, we're much less patient today, Sam. And that's why I encourage you to wait. The fact that you're not in a relationship is just fine. You know? I would not panic at all. I think you're actually in a really good position because you need to figure yourself out. And maybe, maybe you're already there. Statistically speaking, dudes aren't ready until they're in their 30s. You know. My second marriage was when I was 28, and I've been married now for going on 31 years. So I guess I figured it out. Yep, Brad is exactly right. But the problem is, well, there's several problems. The impatience. There is also a treasure charger. You're onto it. You're onto it. Yep, it's the Disney fantasy, right? Yeah, treasure chargers really hit the nail on the head. There is an unrealistic expectation. So what you have as a result of that is you have roughly 80% of the younger women today going after the top 20% of men. And that's because these 80% of the women don't have an accurate they don't have a realistic view of what they are, right? Let's see, I wish my... Wow. Sorry to hear that, Angel. Mikey P, there's no need to put the @ sign for Foofy Bear because that character does not exist. Yeah, Brad, that's for sure. So what is interesting is there are so many I mean, I know of a story where this younger girl divorced her husband because she had an affair partner and thought she could do better, and that blew up. So she found this other guy instead and got married to him, and he was a drunk and a mean one. And, you know, you got to wonder, well, what exactly, you know, did she regret what she did? I don't know. I mean, you would think with the benefit of hindsight, maybe she asked herself, what the hell did I do? I had something stable, but boring. And that's the problem. It was boring. Well, do something about it. Work at it. Nope, I'm bored. I'm leaving. Okay. What are you going to do? Exactly, Mrs. Coin Crew. Another situation in my family where a girl in her 20s was in a relationship with a guy who was in a band, right? And she thought she had enough pull where she could give him the ultimatum to either leave the band or she would leave him. He chose the band. And now she is in her middle 30s and panicking because she don't have a man. And the thing is that as women age, when they decide that they want to leave their husbands because they're bored or whatever, and they get back out into the dating scene, it is extraordinarily difficult, because these younger women still think they're in their 20s, and they're not. And the thing is that every year a new crop of 19 and 20-year-olds comes into the scene, and these 30-somethings keep getting pushed out to the periphery, right? And they're not getting the attention they used to get. They're not getting the dating offers they used to get. And it's a really bitter pill to swallow. So, and if they're not realistic about, you know, what they really are in the dating scene, then the logical thing to do would be to become less picky. Instead, what typical behavior shows is that they become more picky, which flies against logic. I remember this episode on the Steve Harvey show, where this lady had, she brought out her list of things that she needed from a guy, and there were over 100 items on it, and all of those things had to be checked before she would even consider dating a guy. Well, she's going to die alone, and she's going to have cats, if she doesn't relax a lot of that. The other thing is, you know, especially today, yeah, Dad's spare change. Yep, that'll happen. Mikey P, you're exactly right. There are no innocent parties here. Men can be dirtbags. For a marriage to work, it takes both parties. I had a friend of mine say it's not 50-50, it's 100-100. And he's right. He's right. So I totally agree with that. And I think, yeah, Mrs. Coin Crew there. Oh. I mean, there are women who think that a dude who makes $100,000 a year are poor. Right? That's poor. So they set their requirements based on income. And they have to make like $300,000 to $400,000 a year. And my question to some of these folks is, what would a guy making $400,000 a year want with you? What do you bring to the table? Loyalty? Get a dog. Right? I mean, what's... People have an inflated sense of self. And that is not the way to go about things. So, yes, Mrs. Coin Crew. Well, yeah, well, you say it's so sad. It's preventable. Definitely. You know, definitely preventable. But it's ultimately what we choose, right? So, I mean, I've always been of the mindset where, you know, the looks are going to fade. But can you have a decent conversation with people? Right? I mean, you have to look past today, or whenever it is that you are interested in someone, because attraction is a major player. But you can also get past that, because that's not going to last forever. So, yep, that's what's on the inside, character, definitely. So, but yeah, and the other thing that people are no longer giving a damn about are what a divorce does to the kids in the family. We've lost the ability to want to sacrifice for our children. Instead, the societal construct is that a woman don't need no man, and that she can be mommy and daddy to the kids. And you see the diminishing role of men in the corporate world, in society at large, and there's a price to be paid. The backlash is starting to appear, where Walker Magnet, greetings. There are a couple of things that are happening as a result of that, especially in the corporate world. The HR departments have been weaponized to go against men. And as a result, men have been encouraged to mentor women in the workplace. And they're like, no, I'm good. I don't need it, because I don't want to run the risk of helping somebody out and being turned into HR. So men do not talk to women at the workplace anymore. It's too risky. And women are kind of freaking out about it, because not a lot of women are looking to get a guy fired. But from the male standpoint, it's not that they would do it, but that they could. And these dudes are not going to take the chance. And the reason is they saw what happened in their own family. They saw how mom did dad. Maybe mom stepped out on dad and still got all the cash and prizes in the family court. And so not only are the men not dealing with women at the workplace, they're not dealing with them in the dating scene. The wedding planners are going bankrupt, because weddings are almost at an all-time low. Because men are seeing what happens to people in the family courts. They lose half their business, half their pension, half their 401k. They lose the house. And it is so much more financially beneficial for men never to get married. Now, they can get into relationships all day long with the idea that they'll never get married. But even then, states will enact laws where if you're together with someone for so long, you're considered common law married. So it can be, relationships can be tricky. So, that's why I'm saying, Treasure Charger, exactly right. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Walker Magnet. I certainly will. And like I say, I mean, with the sexual revolution in the 60s, the more that, and I'll repeat this for everybody just joining, the more that, the more, how do I say, partners a lady has had, the tougher it is for her to commit to one man. A, because there's a biological component that prevents her from doing that, but B, when she wants to find a good man, then even after they're married, what does she do? She compares against all the other people she had before. And what are the odds that the guy she's with is going to be the best guy she's ever had? Nope. And, you know, that's why, you know, it might be considered rude for a guy to ask a lady about her body count, but there's a hell of a good reason to do so. And if a dude really wants to be safe, take that body count that they tell you, multiply it by about 3 or 4, right? Just to be sure, just to ballpark it, and then ask yourself if, and this is where dudes have to be honest with themselves too. Okay, am I going to be the best thing that ever happened to her? No. Right? So, but yeah, that's it's a really fascinating. I'm just fascinated by this stuff. And what is missing in all of this is humility. It is the male is not humble enough to realize that he should be more committed to his partner and he shouldn't step out. There's a lot of biological imperative for a dude to just, you know, get with anything that walks, and he's got to resist that, right? That's what the guy has to do. The girl has to resist the urge of going to the government and winning cash and prizes, right? And that humility is based on faith. And within the last 30 years, faith has taken a beating. And people are much more they basically turned away. And you see the results. You see the results. You know, people are in it for themselves. It's really hard to trust somebody. And if you think that you're safe by going to a church and finding a girl, well, the problem you might run into there is, well, if I know I'm saved, then I can do anything. Nope. So, I would encourage everybody to take your time and be careful. Be smart about it. Right? And it's really tough because there's a lot of emotion that gets involved. So you kind of have to put that away and do more thinking about a situation as opposed to, you know, first date jumping in the sack kind of crap, right? I mean, who actually takes the time and gets to know somebody first? I mean, it would be like, I kind of equate this to learning how to play an instrument, right? If you if I were to just to go on stage and try to play a saxophone, it would sound terrible. But I think that's kind of what we do in our dating scene today. We just hook up with people the first time we meet them, and the results are terrible. But if you actually knew them, if you actually developed an actual relationship with somebody first, you kind of learn how they tick, right? What they like, what they don't like, get to know them, talk about stuff. Then maybe, I mean, that's like practicing your instrument. Maybe then you can get on stage with your instrument and play it and just not embarrass yourself. But we're not patient anymore, and the results are everywhere. So, I mean, if a dude wants to get married today, then he has to think in terms of, well, I'm going to, if we have kids, I'm going to know them for about 4 to 6 years, and she's going to leave, and I'm never going to see him again. Unless you choose wisely, right? And having been there, I advise against it. As far as not choosing wisely, I didn't. Pretty much lost contact with the kids. It's tough. I would just say be careful, you know. Oh no, NetFiend, you've done it right. Right? If you've been married for 31 years, NetFiend, you've done it right. Because you understand that, at least I would venture, that you understand that marriage is work. And my whole theory here is that people don't want to work at it anymore. So, you know, it's younger folks. I mean, I've seen interviews, so many interviews, where, you know, these younger women are asked to grade themselves on a 1 to 10, and to a T, they all say they're 10s. And it's just an unrealistic evaluation of self. So, yeah, exactly, NetFiend. Exactly. That's the exact thing that happens. Yep. And the other thing, right? The other thing that happens within a marriage is, who's the boss? Yeah, let's dig into this for a bit. So, if the guy feels one way and the wife feels a different way, then how do you arrive at a conclusion? Does it just remain unresolved? Who breaks the tie? Right? And Dad, spare change. I'm a 3, my wife is a 7, that equals 10. NetFiend, I'm the boss, most definitely. Don't tell my wife I said that. There you go. It's all good. I lucked out, been married 34 years, wouldn't trade it for the world. Well, that's because you have a good thing, right? And, you know, Brad Zerlin, no, can't be. Can't be. What happens is that, and I've seen this in church, There's a part in the Bible about the man subjecting himself to God in a marriage. And the women's are all like, yeah. And then there's the part about the women, the woman subjecting herself to the man. And you see the eyes come together. And you like say, what? A woman subjecting herself to the man? How can that work? Well, let's go like this. If you see a couple dancing, like the tango or something, some classical dance, right? Who's everybody watching? Well, they're not watching the dude, right? They're watching the lady. Who's leading? The guy's leading. She's following, and she's being watched. She's still getting the attention, even though she's following. Wow. Who knew that could happen? Right? So there is an urge to be leading. Until there's a pickle jar to be opened, until there's a spider that needs to be killed. Now, all of a sudden, we don't want to lead anymore. It's a selective kind of leadership that we want to have. Nah. So, there's a negative connotation to supporting a husband. It's almost frowned upon these days. And it just doesn't need to be. There's nothing wrong with supporting, you know. Yeah, there is that urge. Yep. But you have to have a tie-breaking system in the family. Now, there is greatness in the wife offering a different viewpoint, because it could be something that the husband hasn't thought about. And the husband has to listen to that to make the thing work. Doesn't mean he has to ultimately do it. He's got to listen to it. You know, I think there is a part for younger women these days that they don't want to have arguments with their husband. And to them I would say, if your husband is not going to stand up to you, do you think he's going to stand up for you? I think you want both. Because what will happen is, if the husband doesn't stand up to the wife, she'll see him as weak, and she'll go looking for someone stronger. And I don't know if I necessarily blame them. I really don't. Now, it's not something that they will come out and say they want, but when they have it, they know they have a good thing. Right? So, but yeah, what I'm actually thinking about is changing my stream to be stuff like this. You know? Denmo, there you go. Yep, you were committed. Right? Your vows actually meant something. yeah, you got to go through a lot of crap. Everybody thinks it's going to be fun and a circus and all that kind of crap. But no. You know? Yeah, that's 42 years is awesome, dude. So, yeah, I'm actually thinking about changing my stream to do stuff like that. To do stuff like this. Have different discussion topics related to the relationship dynamic, that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of doing this tonight since the greatness of Southern Metal is not here. Just kind of like a trial run to see what, you know, people think about it. If you would like, if you are so inclined, send me an email at bassman64ag@gmail.com. Let me know what you think. Or you can do it right here in the chat. So, but it's a subject that is very deep. I mean, as far as discussion topics, not necessarily understanding wise, but there's a lot to this, and I've been at it probably within the last 4 years, pretty much in depth, and what I have found is very sad. People who are not selfless enough to raise kids in a two-parent household. See, Denmo, that is perfect because that comes from an aspect of humility, right? It takes humility to make it work, right? You know, if you both thought that you were, you know, God's gift, you wouldn't have lasted 42 minutes. But the humility makes you last 42 years, and that is hats off, dude. That is greatness. So, but yeah, I love the humility there. That's how it should work, and I think that's a lost art today. I'm sure it happens still, but boy, do I see the exceptions. So yeah, that's pretty much it as far as I can think of for today. Maybe I'll have some more topics as time goes on, possibly on Monday even. I do have my own Zoom phone line. 10th year high school reunion, and one dude was in his 5th marriage. I'll give you 2, dude, but after that, give it up. Unless you like paying alimony. Maybe you're just a sucker for it. There's some sort of unnatural high you get from writing checks every month. Give it up. So, like I said, I do have my own Zoom line, and maybe you all could call in with questions. That could be a future development. Maybe your picture could be on the screen with me. So that would be kind of cool. That would require you all to have your own VGO cameras. So, yep. But I just think that discussing this kind of stuff is important because I don't know where we're going societally, but I don't think it's good. So, I think it's worth discussing. So that's why I'm doing it tonight. Oh, Brad has Zoom and a camera. Sweet. All right. I mean, I think at first that I'll probably just do it like this. Because I see that there are 10 people in here, and I thank you all for that. But, if this thing grows, then maybe I will come to that point where I can take calls and whatnot. So, well, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. This has been a lot of fun. I'm sure it was not exactly what you all were expecting, but a lot of fun, good conversation. Well, thank you, NetFiend. Yeah, I think it needs to be discussed. So, yeah, and it'll be a little bit faster than me hunting $50. So, but then again, what isn't? Alrighty, well, thank you all very much. I'm going to get on out of here. I talked for an hour. I can't believe it. That's so very strange. John Jacobs, greetings. Coming into the end of the show, but that's all right. So, all right, well, today's Thursday. I guess I will see you on Monday with possibly another topic-driven show. Sweet. All right, there's only one thing left to say, and that is, bye!